Hello, it's day 3 of Cook Together while we're in self-isolation. So, I'm just going to get a little bit of background noise dealt with. My daughter's doing some paper mache in her room. So, whatever it takes really to be able to keep us going. Logan, my computer's going to ding and stuff like that. We can just close it down. So, how's your day? How's your day going? How are you doing? How's your eating been today? Have you snacked 50 million times by lunchtime today? There's a lot of chat going on about snacking because I guess when we get bored, then it's time to maybe go and eat something or take a bit of a break and head to the kitchen. So in the efforts of the things that I'm making with you in this Cook Together, is that you've got some good foods, some anti-inflammatory foods to eat, because that is also, in my circles anyway, being talked about so much, is the inflammation that we already have going on in our body and the inflammation that happens whenever we get any kind of virus, obviously this virus in particular. So everything that we talk about is going to have hopefully more of an anti-inflammatory purpose on our bodies. So the inflammation that we tend to feel can be heart disease, it can be sore knees, it can be swollen fingers, it can be all sorts of situations, but inflammation is always really at the crux of most diseases that we end up having. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that and how can we help our bodies deal with that. So if you've got any questions at all, please feel free to type them into either Facebook or onto Instagram. Do we have a question already?
No, Kelly just said I love your t-shirt.
Oh, thank you very much, Kelly. And thanks for being on live too. So today, my request actually from one of my daughters to make today was to just make some apple crumble. Well, normally for dinner, this is not what we would have. Feel free if you really want to. If you want something a little different, then you can go back to yesterday's chicken and sweet potatoes with garlic, or the day before with the salmon burgers that I made. Then you can go back and get those. Tomorrow, I'm thinking that I'm going to make some soup. So I'll post the ingredients on Instagram and also on Facebook tomorrow. Also, if you're not subscribed to either Leanne Phillipson or Sprout Right's newsletter, feel free to go to either of those, sproutright.com or leannephillipson.com, and sign up for those new newsletters. They are different newsletters. Of the past 2 weeks or so, I've sent out something similar to both. But otherwise, I'm putting out as much information as possible. Today, as I'm in self-isolation, I recorded next week's Eat This with Leanne podcast in my closet. So you'll get to hear a lot about snacking on that will come out Monday. It might come out a little bit sooner. We'll see how my fabulous technical producer Chris does with all of the editing process with that, and then it will go out. So you'll get lots of extra information, and then we're going to put out a lot more over the coming months, coming weeks, because things are changing so fast. But by next month, who knows where we'll be by then. Okay, so today's recipe is to make apple crumble, and this is, if you've got my book, on page 226 of Sprout Right Family Food. Now, of course, these photos were taken, and everything was created so that the photos would look beautiful. Today, I'm not making it in something that's as narrow as this. I've got something that's deeper, shallow. Actually, I should say is the right word. I'm using this, which is quite a bit deeper for that. So, ingredients are on social media. If you're watching this on YouTube, they will also be down below as well. So I do happen to have 4 apples left. That's it for my apple stash. So that's going on my shopping list for anyone that's going to shop. Kelly, thank you very much for doing our shopping when we came back from our trip. And we're still going strong with our oats and things like that. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to mix up the crumble mixture. So right here, I've got a 1.5 cups of oats. To that, I've melted a little bit of coconut oil. You can use butter too, whatever you prefer. And if you don't have anything else, we just need a little bit of fat. So just add some of that together. I'm going to grab a spatula because that's what I like to mix and stir with, although I've got a spoon here. I add in some cinnamon, which is tremendous for your blood sugar level of all things, where you think, wow, what's that? All spices and herbs are incredibly nutritious. Now, also, the sweetness that's going in here is some maple syrup. If you want to use some liquid honey, you can as well. This recipe was adapted from what my mom used to make when I was growing up. And in my mom's recipe, of course, she had oodles of brown sugar. So I switched it up to some maple syrup. Sometimes I will use honey, but basically that's kind of your base for the top. Now, the extra special bit and the anti-inflammatory and super nutritious extras are adding in some seeds. In my book, in the recipe book, I do recommend adding in sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds, so we'll do that too. But because we want extra fiber, we want extra nutrients, I'm going to add in some hemp seeds. I'm just going to throw a whole bunch of those in there. And then also, I always have these in a jar because I put these in my smoothies. I've got some chia seeds as well. They are such a powerhouse of fiber, of nutrients, of iron, of B vitamins, absolutely everything. And all the seeds I've just put in here are high in omega-6, some omega-3s, but mostly omega-6, which do have an anti-inflammatory effect. If you were to have this for dessert and those salmon burgers that I made on our first day, then you're really amping up the anti-inflammatory foods that you're having for the day. So that is it. That's basically the topping for what we're going to add into my dish. So like I said, I've got these 4 little apples. These are, if I remember rightly, I picked these up a while ago from the Brickworks Market in Toronto. I'm going to do what I call a crappy peel here. Sometimes it's actually better to have your apples peeled, but I want to keep a little bit of extra fiber in. Not everybody loves in a crumble, like it's kind of like having apple pie with apples with the skin on. It doesn't always work, but if you kind of do like a half peel, then it's not so overwhelming. So these are Golden Gala apples, and they have dehydrated a little bit, so that's why they're going into this. They've been hanging around in the bottom of my fridge since probably about 2 or 3 weeks even. Apples do last a really long time, but then my kids don't really want to eat them so much because they get that dehydrated skin thing going on, and they're like, no, I don't want to eat that. So this is the perfect place to put apples that you might have found in the bottom of your fridge that are just not looking quite so savory for eating. So that's my kind of half peel that I've got going on there. And then we will chop them up. My favorite way to deal and chop apples up is to quarter them. I'm gonna need my little paring knife in a moment, but you can just go in and take off that sort of triangular piece there of the core. Let's see, there we go. You can go around and chop out that middle square if you want, but if you end up with, actually this works better, this little piece on here just takes out that hard center of the apple core, so I'm really not losing so much apple because I've only got a few left. Then I want to make the most of it. I don't want to get rid of too much. So I have also, when I haven't had any apples hanging around, I had frozen mango. I worked with that. You can try peaches. I've done rhubarb and berries. Really pretty much anything peach in the summertime, if you ever want to make that, is absolutely delicious. So you can pretty much use any fruit. I don't know that I've ever put bananas in this. I'm not really sure how that would go. That's probably the only fruit that I wouldn't recommend, but pretty much anything else. My younger daughter said, can't you just make this only with blueberries? Well, that would be like 3 to 4 cups of blueberries going in here. And I don't know that there's ever a time when blueberries are completely in season enough that wouldn't be a really, really super expensive crumble to make, so I just pad it out a little bit with the with apples and also with berries, with peaches, pretty much anything. So keeping with the fruit theme is a really good thing. Do you have any questions from anyone, Logan? Okay. So if there's something that you're a little bit stuck on right now and you're finding that whoever you happen to have at home is not feeling terribly grateful for what you're cooking and when you cook, I'm going to suggest that the structure of still, even in this time, creating a meal plan is actually really good. And depending on the age of your kids and how adept they are in doing either something like this or baking or anything really, the two recipes that I've made over the past 2 days, and even the soup, if you want to get them involved in making the soup tomorrow evening, then or tomorrow at 5 o'clock, that's Eastern time anyway, then get them involved, get them cooking, get them in the kitchen. And while the days just kind of seem to fly and they go, and you're like, oh God, was that another day gone? What did we actually do? Or did we get outside? Or have you got to move your body or anything like that? Then get the kids, get anyone but you in the kitchen. And if you're making a meal plan and people are contributing to what the snacks are that are available, rather than everybody just heading to the kitchen when they're kind of a little bit peckish, maybe a little bit like what you're doing with your snacking. Maybe a bowl of cereal at 5 o'clock and you're making dinner and you didn't know about it, and then dinner time comes and somebody's not hungry anymore because they just had a snack and they didn't realize what time dinner is. Create that structure. If in times of worry, in times of concern, where we are doing things like eating a lot more snacks and a lot more food than we normally tend to because of a lack of structure, it really, really helps a lot. So don't abandon all of that meal planning that you've done before. Don't abandon all of that lunch planning that you've done before. I posted on Facebook asking people what their challenges were, and one of the big challenges was lunch. God, we've just had breakfast, so now what are we going to have for lunch? Somebody else commented that everybody's waking up so much later that they're almost put themselves on an intermittent fasting protocol because they're really only having 2 meals a day. They're not finding themselves eating a lot as they did before. So it really depends on what's happening in your household. Maybe you're on your own and you making this crumble will end up keeping you going for a really long time. So I've actually made this crumble in much smaller containers or much smaller dishes before. Maybe not something quite as small as this, but you can make up the recipe and then take a smaller anything and cook it in that, or something that's oven proof or freezer proof. Because once you make this, I've frozen this before lots and lots of times, and it really makes it much, it just keeps on giving. Yes, we've got a question. I see arms flapping from my technical assistant, Logan. Yes, Logan, what's the question?
Becky Cole said, that sounds like me and my mom, lol. What's the next meal?
Yes. Becky, so the next meal, what am I going to make next, you mean? I'm going to make the coconut corn soup. That's going to be for tomorrow. So if you want to see if you have any frozen corn in your freezer, see if you can find and locate some coconut milk. That's going to go into it as well. I believe it's a carrot, some onions, some garlic. I'll double check the recipe, and then I'll try and post it early for you so that you can see what you've got. If anybody happens to be going out shopping, then you can add all of these to your shopping list. And that definitely is a recipe that will keep on giving because it makes such a big batch. And if it's only 2 of you, like Becky, you and your mom, then I would definitely suggest making this crumble recipe, finding some dish, bowl, anything like that, and then make it into, and you might actually find that you guys go through this quite quickly. All of the apples will sink down quite a bit, but anyway, you can do what you like once you've eyeballed this. So this was, you could see how small those apples were. That's how much it's made. Yes, Logan.
Kelly said, "Oh my God, that's my favorite," and have to get some corn.
Yes, it is such a good one. Yeah, definitely have some corn, and I have some in my freezer because you got it for me. So if you need some, you know where to come. I'll pop it outside the door. So this is basically the all of the fruit. If you wanted mango, sometimes I've thrown frozen cherries in here. Really, pretty much anything. If you want blackberries in there, if you want raspberries in there, the more color that you put into this, the more color that you eat in a day, that's where the antioxidants are. All of the foods, beets, berries, anything bright, the sweet potato that I made last night, they contain such powerful antioxidants, and the antioxidants are one of the steps in helping to lessen and to squash and put the fire out of inflammation. So the more colors that you have in your day, there's a million colors in my Skin Boost and my Kid Boost superfood powder for that reason. Also, vitamin C is huge for anti-inflammatory, for boosting your immune system, and this is jammed with vitamin C as well if you're not doing an extra boost with something like the Take This Alka-C, which I also is part of my Take This supplement line. So basically everything is in here. You're supposed to add a little bit of fruit juice just to give it a little more ooziness, but I don't actually have any of that right now, so it's not going in, and it will still turn out just fine. So on the top, we just put in our it's a bit like a granola, really, a bit of a granola type topping that's going on here. It's not particularly wet. There's no flour in here. It's just oats. So this can be gluten-free. Oats are amazing food for helping your mood. So oats and lots of other foods, which I'll talk about in my upcoming podcast episode about snacking and eating in times of isolation. The oats really help to release a hormone called serotonin, which is a feel-good hormone, or actually the hormone enters the receptor sites and that reward center in your brain. So this kind of thing is incredible for helping you to feel better, for giving you those antioxidants, giving you the fiber, helping you to eliminate more. I could go on and on and on, and very often my kids say, "Can you not just say it tastes good, Mom?" instead of going through all of these benefits that it does for your body. So basically, that's it. That's the crumble. It's going to go in the oven at 350 oven for about 40, maybe sometimes 45 minutes. Basically what you're looking for is that you just see some bubbling going on around the edge. And what I'll do is I will, as I have done with the others, is I will take a picture afterwards so you see, and then I'll post it underneath this particular post. We're having some difficulty getting it up onto the video onto IGTV today, so I don't know if that's internet or anything like that, but we'll talk. I'll definitely put that there, and then a picture. Yes, Logan, she's got another question.
Someone says, "It looks great. What about the sugars in the fruit?"
What about the sugars in the fruit? So, sugars that you find in fruit are not as worrisome. The fructose that's in there is surrounded by fiber. When you have them surrounded by fiber, so you have the actual apple versus apple juice, it's night and day difference on the effect that it has on your body and the insulin response. So when you have the actual apples that are in here and all the berries, then that fiber really helps to slow down the release of the fructose and of the sugar. If you listen to my podcast on Is Sugar Evil, which I think was about episode 7. So if you want to search anywhere you find podcasts for Eat This with Leanne, then you'll find that, and you'll find a lot more information. So both episodes 7 and 8 were all about sugar, so you can listen to those, because I go into that in a lot more detail about fructose itself and then fructose in fruit. But right now I'm not worried at all about the situation of having this. The higher fructose or the higher sugary type foods, it's all from fructose, or higher sugary fruits come from things more like grapes and melons that don't have as much fiber. Apples, pears, berries, they're much lower because they're also really, really high in fiber, and the berries are incredible for those antioxidant colors, and so important to be eating right now, because the antioxidants are what help help squash that fire of inflammation. And then we get in the fish oils, then we get in the omega-3. So Omega Boost is another great one to have going into you every day. That's another Take This by Leanne product as well. So you can head over to sproutright.com. There's loads and loads of information on there when you click on store, and then you also check out the whole of the Take This line. So I encourage you to do that. The vitamin D is crucial for your immunity and especially for your lungs in all the SARS-1, SARS-2, which is what we're dealing with right now. Huge research that came out about vitamin D, and the one that I have is a liposome spray, so the absorption is absolutely incredible, especially with the D, with the K2 in there, as well as the D3. So if you end up with any more questions at all from these things that I'm talking about today, please type them in below, because if you're asking them, and that's so helpful for someone else that didn't happen to think of that question, like the fructose one and the fruit sugars. So thank you so much, and keep on communicating, keep on letting me know what's happening. I'm gonna keep on doing this every day for as long as I can, for as long as I've got food to make these great recipes until we get another drop off of ingredients. So thanks so much for being along today. If you get stuck with it and need an idea, I'm here to help. If you need to talk, I'm here to help. If you need something to help your mood, or maybe even just to stop snacking, give me some ideas. What else can I do? I've got tons of those coming up in, I'm going to call it my closet podcast episode. All right. Was that another question there, Logan?
Lisa Dowling just said amazing.
Oh, thank you, Lisa, and thanks so much for being on. Lisa hasn't been well, so I hope this helps you. As well, Lisa, with maybe some new ideas to mix into your lovely potions that are helping you to kick whatever it is that you've got going on. So thank you again for being here. Tell your friends about this. There's no charge for it or anything. I'm just doing this to support you guys and just to inspire as much as possible. So I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. See you then.